Hey Frontline fans, welcome back to Comic Frontline, and guys, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do episode number 12 of Pay It or Slay It, the no frills version. That's right, guys, we're going old school in this episode, as this is almost late in the afternoon for me by the time I'm actually recording this episode, so there's no time for edits. Unfortunately, I had another project that I'm working on, and so I got lost in time. So I apologize for that, but nevertheless, we're not going to miss the episode, so we're going to dive right into episode number 12. This is the video series where I give you a random of 10 comic books that I read for the week, and I make that decision if we should pay it or we should slay it. And mainly, most of the books don't get slayed, they just maybe if they're really bad. But with that being said, let's get started with this episode. Here we go. First book we're going to talk about this week is, bam, Regression, issue number 1. This is written by Cullen Bunn, everybody. Brand new independent book from him. If you guys are familiar with Cullen Bunn's work, he has a lot of dark books, and this book is no different. It's very dark, and it has this feel where we have this man, and he is kind of seeing things. He's hallucinating, and he sees all his friends. His friends are seeing bugs and all these other types of things, and he's not knowing what's going on, and it's really crazy. So we have his friend by the name of Molly, who is very concerned about him, and she wants him to go see this hypnotist to find out what his, what's going on within him. And so he explains on what regression is, and regression has this thing where you go deep into the person's mind, and maybe they have a past history, or they were a different person, and we kind of get to see that our main character, who is very, he looks like he's got this troubled past. There's a lot of things going on. So this was a very interesting book, and it definitely leaves you with a lot of questions, and you can't wait to see what happens going forward with this book. So I say definitely pick this book up, guys. It's definitely worth your hard-earned cash. Regression, issue number 1 from Cullen Bunn. Definitely a very interesting and original read. Alright, so the next book we're going to be talking about this week is, bam, Amazing SpiderMan, Renew Your Vows. We're on issue number 7 on this series already, so that's pretty good. Now this continues the story with Annie Mae, and on what's going on with her, about if they're going to make a decision, if they're going to put her in the school or whatnot. And we wind up seeing that our heroes are fighting the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in this issue. The artwork is done by Ryan Stegman, which I thought is always really good, and I think he does a nice job. This is very nostalgic 90s type of Wolverine here. Really looks good, and we get to see them fight, and we get to see in this issue as well Jubilee being a kind of like a traitor, because she feels like she's been fighting with the mutants, with the X-Men, and nothing has been resolved. And we also get to see Emma Frost in this issue, as she has a little bit more clothes on than maybe what we've been used to seeing with her. And we get to see them fight these mutants, and it continues, and we see what, again, what Jubilee's, what she's going through and whatnot. So it was a really interesting issue. It kind of is like a filler story on what's going to happen next with Mary Jane, because everything wraps up real quickly with this particular two-part story, sorry, and on how they just, magically defeat everybody and they get sent off away and whatnot. But the interesting thing is the last page, where we get to see Liz Allen, who has this little cup of black goo, and I guess you can imagine that it is the Venom symbiote. Why it just sits in the cup, I don't know. Like, doesn't it just like pour out? It doesn't like want to find a host. It just sits there. So I thought that was very interesting. But nevertheless, we know where that's going. It looks like obviously it's going to Mary Jane. So can't wait to read the next story arc. This was kind of filler for me, but nevertheless, you should pick up Renew Your Vows. And again, this was issue number 7. This story arc started in 6. So 6 and 7, if you guys want to check out a team up with the X-Men, you should definitely pick it up. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's move on forward to the next book. And the next book we're going to talk about is BAM! But, oh man, back-to-back stories when it comes to Spider-Man. That one was good. This one was not. Issue number 27 of the Amazing Spider-Man is just, in my opinion, absolute garbage. And that's being very mean, but I had high expectations for this particular issue, or for this particular story arc. And it's really a pissing contest between Norman Osborn and Spider-Man in this book. That's really what it is. Oh, I got better toys than you. I have motorcycles, I have jets, I have planes, I have houses. And then we got Norman Osborn who's like, I got missiles, I got cycles, I got tanks. And it's just, that's really what this issue is. The motive for Spider-Man to defeat Norman Osborn is just ridiculous, since Norman Osborn goes through this transformation like we've maybe seen in Joker. And I feel like the Countess is like his Harley Quinn, but she's not a Joker. She's more serious. The one thing I can say is Stuart Amoninen's artwork is really nice in this book, but really, do we need this? Come on, like, why? Like, I get he's immune to his own serum, and he's like, oh, I want to be the Joker, like, in real life, so my face has got to stay like this, and I don't know. I didn't like it. And again, it's all about the whole pissing contest between the two characters. We get to see what happened with Silver Sable in this issue. She spills the beans on how she survived. You know, the Dr. Octopus and the Sinister Six and the End of All Worlds story arc. And we wind up seeing Bobby, who actually quits S.H.I.E.L.D. in this issue. And I thought that was the best character moment in this particular book. You got Aunt May trying to save the company and whatnot. We get this wild pack with the Silver Sable. So I don't know. I just thought it was just over the top, just too much for what a Spider-Man book really is, right? Spider-Man, Peter, he's inventive. I like character development, but I liked him, and I said this in my own review, is that I liked him best when he was in Horizon Labs, and he was able to expand on his ideas by making new suits, new inventions, new things like this. When we go to motorcycles and you know, like, I don't know, what is it called? SUVs and jets and all this other stuff. It's just too much. So right now, honestly, guys, I'm not going to slay this book, but because I'm a huge Amazing Spider-Man fan or Spider-Man fan and I don't slay any of them, but if I bought 2 copies of this, I would tear it up. And so right now, if you don't want to read Spider-Man, I say slay it, guys. This book was not good. This whole story arc is not good. And it's just underwhelming. It really, really is. It's like a slap in the face for Norman Osborn and Peter Parker's, you know, rivalry with each other. It's just not there. All right. Next book we're talking about is BAM! All New Wolverine, issue number 20. Quite interesting book, I must say, as we get to see Laura Kinney, as she's immune to this, I guess it's from the Chitauri or whatnot, or one of the races. They have this virus, and I guess all of New York is, not all of New York, it's Roosevelt Island has been quarantined. They tore down the bridges, people are getting sick, people are dying, and this alien, this child, went searching for Laura Kinney because they know like she's immune to this virus that's going on, and they hope that there's a cure. So we have all the bright minds in Marvel actually studying this particular virus, trying to find a cure for it. And really what happens is this is like becomes a real scientific type of book all of a sudden, and we get to see Laura have the weight on her shoulders. It's like the whole world is on her shoulders at this moment, and she's very on edge. And you know, she has words with it with Riri Williams. She reunites with Gabby in this particular issue because she wants to help her, and then it gets kind of weird because we get this ambulance that drives through the truck. It drives through a hospital, and we wind up seeing them studying the child with these random AIM agents who are also sick. And really what happens is we find out that Laura Kinney is the one that can save people. She's like the Messiah. She carries the virus, but yet when she touches people, she can heal them, whoever has it. And you see the scientist that was studying Laura at the end winds up getting healed. So we get one more issue of this particular story arc on her possibly saving the world and all the people that are affected with it. So we'll see what happens. Not my favorite story arc. This kind of went in a little bit of a different direction than I expected to, based off of the first issue. I didn't expect it to be so scientific heavy. The artwork seemed a little bit different for me. It seemed maybe rushed in this issue. Certain characters didn't look the way they should have, but nevertheless, I think Tom Taylor does a wonderful job with Laura and puts a lot of emotion in the character. So if you're definitely interested in the X-23, I say pick this book up. It's a good read overall. Alright, guys. So, next book we're going to be talking about today is BAM! Action Comics, issue number 979. This is a pretty good book. Action Comics has been nothing short of stellar these days. I think Superman fans, hardcore Superman fans, are definitely happy with this book, and then we get to see some good Lois and Clark moments in this particular book. I think the artwork is really well done. We get to see Mongol in this book. He makes his return, and we get to see you know, some, again, good Lois and Clark moments as they're getting ready to move back to Metropolis, and they're getting in an apartment in Metropolis, and those character moments were good because they're deciding on what to do with John. Is he going to feel misplaced and doesn't feel like home for him? But then we wind up getting to see Mongol and Eradicator, Superman, and some of the other villains look for this particular stone that, I guess, brings their heart desires back, and we get to see Hank Henshaw come back in this book, and he wants to be Cyborg Superman again. So you get to see him like rip his face off, and he becomes the Cyborg Superman, and they're gonna have to defeat Superman, I guess, and they want to get Zod or whatnot. So I thought this was a cool book as well. I'm a Superman fan, but I'm not a hardcore Superman fan, so I don't always understand 100% what's going on, like where certain things came from, as I didn't read a ton of Superman books, and most of the Superman books I've read were from New 52, and we know how good that was, right? Yeah, enough said there. So a lot of my Superman is, I'm getting a lot from this, from Rebirth, and from some of the older stuff I did read when I was younger, but I didn't read a ton of it. So I definitely say pick up Action Comics issue number 979. This is part 1 of the new story arc, so you guys won't be disappointed with that. Alright, next we're going to talk about, bam, Old Man Logan. This is Past Lives. We have one more issue of this particular story arc, and then we go into the new direction of issue number 25 when we get a new artist on the book, and I think we get a new writer as well. Shit, I bent my copy on accident. God damn it, I hate when that happens. Oh well, it's not like it's gonna be worth millions anyway. Anyway, Old Man Logan, issue number 23. It continues Logan as he's traveling through all his past lives in a particular issue. And we get to see AIM. They're trying to, like, buy Logan, and they still feel like they want to pay for him, but they're like, I'm not sure he's going to come alive again. Is he going to come back alive? Is he going to kill us? And they're like, they're willing to pay money for just his body, which I thought was funny. And then we get our villain, Merez. Oh, I forgot his name. I forgot the guy's name. But he, like, stabs him in the chest and everything. And he's just like, see, nothing happens to him. But it happens to him when he's, like, in his old past life. And he's been traveling with this actual amulet to find himself, to get back to current times. So we get to see him back in certain areas, and then he winds up going back to a time where he winds up traveling back to where he meets up with the X-Men back in the day when they were, you know, playing baseball outside the mansion. And he goes and he's talking with Bobby, and he's like, you gotta remember this time, bud. He's like, you gotta remember it. He's like, you know, back in the year, this time and that, where you gotta go to this apartment, and, you know, so he's trying to give Bobby this information. So in his last, in his very last place, past life, where he goes back to the Wastelands. And not only does he go back to the Wastelands, is Logan winds up going back to the farm where his family is still alive. And so now this is very tempting for him, as he maybe doesn't want to go back to his current life, because what he does is he winds up taking the amulet and he winds up stepping on it and breaking it, and he says, I'm home. And that's it. And it's to be concluded. And he says he's never going back. So how is he going to go back? Is he going to stay there forever? What's going to happen with Logan now going forward? So it'll be interesting to see how this story arc concludes in issue number 24. If you guys haven't read Old Man Logan, you can pick this up, I think, at issue number 20. I think it was 20, 21, 22, 23, or 21. And I definitely say this is worth the pickup, as this leads into the monumental issue number 25, right? So, yeah, definitely pick this book up, guys. It's a really good read. All right, so what book are we going to talk about next? Next one is, bam, XMen Blue, issue number 3, written by Colin Bunn, as we get to see our young X-Men here trying to work together as a team, and they find themselves against a bunch of Sentinels, and they're freaking out. Artwork is really nice in the beginning of this book. Towards the end, we do get an artist change, and it kind of throws you off a little bit. But nevertheless, it's still a good read. We come across a new mutant. Her name is by the name of Belen, or Belen. That's how you say her name. And the mutants think that they're going to be captured by these Sentinels. And they do get captured, but it's not to destroy them. It's actually to go meet this other character that we've seen from the 90s, and his name is Nimrod / Master Mold Fusion, which is also known as Bastion, who also creates, like, the Sentinels, I guess. And so he has this mission parameter of always destroying the mutants. And so in this issue, the young X-Men are kind of hesitant because he doesn't want to destroy them. And they're like, what? What's going on? The Sentinels are calling us fellow mutants and whatever it is. So we get this backstory about who the Sentinels are, where they came from. We find out this story about where Bastion's been on this particular time, how he's come back. And then we wind up getting this story of where the reason why he doesn't want to destroy them is because the mutants are close to extinction level, and he wants them to flourish and he wants them to grow, so he wants to protect them so he himself can kill them in the future. It was like, wow, what is that? That's crazy. That's sick. And so the mutants are like, yeah, hell no, we're going to destroy you. And he winds up going away somewhere and disappearing. So he's like, yeah, this is not my mission parameter. I'm not going to fight you guys because I want you guys to grow so I can extinguish you yourself. So by the time we get to the end of it, we see some good moments between Scott and Jean in the issue. And that's when we get the artist change. So I thought that was a real, you know, a little nitpick on my part, but the overall story was pretty good. So XMen Blue is a great read. I've loved issues number 2 and 3. Issue 1 was okay for me, so definitely pick up XMen Blue, guys. This is a really good book so far, written by Colin Bunn. The second book by him this week I'm talking about. All right, Next book we're going to talk about is BAM! Titans. Issue number 11. This is the first Titans book I've read in quite a while because between all the books that come out, I can't buy every single book. But when it came to this Lazarus contract with Deathstroke inside of it and crossing over between all those Titan books and Deathstroke, I thought, yeah, why not give this one a try? I like Deathstroke. I'm a fan of the character. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. So in this book, it was interesting because we wound up getting to see Ravager in a dream, I guess, from Deathstroke that happened in the past. And he wound up getting killed. And Deathstroke blames the Titans for Ravager's death. And so it wasn't really the Titans' fault. We wound up seeing Wally West trying to save him. And it's really Hive because they gave him these enhancements and his heart gave way. But he holds it against the Titans. So we wind up seeing Slade. He winds up getting recovered. He winds up getting an eye back. And you wind up seeing him take off. You wind up seeing also the Titans in this issue. They wind up doing their particular mission, and something's going on with Lazarus. And Nightwing is holding some information. But in the whole scheme of things, we wind up seeing Wally get captured. And the person that winds up capturing him is Deathstroke in the issue. And he makes Wally a deal. He says, if you can save my son, he's like, I'll quit being Deathstroke forever. And of course, traveling through time has its ramifications. And Wally sits there and says, no, I'm not doing it. And he says, fine. He's got I kind of a contingency. He's like, I have the other Wally West. And he's like, how can you be Wally West? He's like, I'm Wally West. So this is the New 52 Wally West and Rebirth Wally West or pre-Flashpoint Wally West. It's like, what the hell is going on? So it's all kinds of crazy stuff. So it looks like he's going to use him to do the time travel to save his son. So really interesting stuff. I really enjoyed this book. Had a lot of fun with it. I can't wait to see where, I think in the next one that takes place in Teen Titans issue number 8. So if you guys want a good story with the Titans, definitely say, pick this book up, guys. You won't be disappointed with it. All right. Next book we're going to talk about is BAM! Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. This is one of my favorite DC books right now. Really good book, as I've been talking about it every time it comes out. We have this guy who wants to take over the Sinestro Corps. His name is Zarko. And we have our Lanterns who are doing battle against these prism creatures. And they can't stop them. They can't be defeated. And Zarko's like, ha-ha. He's like, I'm going to be taking over the Sinestro Corps. You're going to witness the fall of the Green Lantern Corps. And we got Space Ape and this other guy. He's talking to these guys. And no matter what they can do, the Green Lantern Corps can't stop these guys. They use Mogo. They use their rings. They powering up. And everything's going crazy. And in this particular issue, we wind up finding out that it's because that when Hal Jordan went renegade and he used the gauntlet, it was changing him, and it goes back into this story, and we wind up finding out that he wound up burying it in this different space sector, and it winds up creating this emotion of its own and whatnot. It's creating these creatures. So it's all because of stupid Hal Jordan in Rebirth, or not in Rebirth, in New 52, where we get these stupid-ass prism creatures, right? It's all because of freaking New 52. And it's so funny how, though, a lot of books this week, and a lot of books in general just recently have been, like, closing their ties with New 52, and we're continuing to talk about it here. So by the time we wind up getting to the end of this issue, we wind up seeing Hal Jordan. He wants to fly off. He wants to find the gauntlet and stop this event from ever happening. So he has to find the gauntlet. And we wind up seeing by the end, Zarko has his like real prism beast out there. So, good book. I don't think it's as strong as the previous issues, as this one focused more on just like the storytelling of what happened in the past and kind of them just fighting these prism creatures. So not as strong for me, as we didn't see those great character moments as we've seen in previous issues. But still, nevertheless, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps has been a solid series. I definitely say pick this book up, guys. All right, so I think we have one more book to talk about. Right on time here. 30-minute mark, getting close. Last book we're talking about is Weapon X, issue number 3. Really cool cover here as we get to see Domino shooting her gun, and in this gun smoke we get to see the characters that are in our book so far. This book has a nice balance of humor, action. The artwork is really good, and I've always made fun of Greg Land's artwork in the past, but I feel like his exaggerative smiles have kind of toned down a little bit, and he's focused on more of the characters themselves and then the action that's going on in the book, and the colors are really well done. We get to see Wolverine and we get to see Logan on how they're hiding from their DNA stealing cyborgs, and we get to see Weapon X, them trying to hunt them down as well. They wind up leaving, and in this issue now, like I've loved in so many of these issues, we're getting slowly introduced to our characters that are going to be in this series. And in this time, we get to see Domino in here, and she's sailing, and she's trying to find treasure and whatnot. Next thing we wind up finding out is we see those cyborg guys come across her, and we wind up seeing them going to attack her, and she's like, oh shit. And so you wind up seeing these cyborgs attacking her, going after her, and we get to see her mutant power. And then once again, you got Weapon X sitting there, you know, got dudes eating popcorn once again, like it's a freaking Super Bowl, you know, watching these cyborgs take them down. And so in this issue, you wind up seeing Logan, and you wind up seeing Sabretooth wind up meeting up with Domino here to try to stop the cyborgs, and they actually wind up stopping them. So we wind up seeing that these models are not quite complete on the way that they want them to be, so they feel now that they shouldn't be able to just hunt these mutants, but they need to get DNA from a Hulk to evolutionize or revolutionize these new cyborgs, and it's going to cross over in the Totally Awesome Hulk, which I know a lot of people are not, you know, great at, you know, because maybe the book is stalling or the book is not selling too well, so they gotta produce some sales. Nevertheless, I'm gonna read it when it comes out because I like this story. And overall, I like the introduction to our, you know, what you think would be X-Force team members or Weapon X team members or whatever the case may be. I just love it. It's funny. The humor between Sabretooth and Wolverine are great. It's just a really fun book to read, and I look forward to it each and every week it comes out, or every other week it comes out. One of the best X-Men books to date, I think, right now. So, yeah. So I say definitely pay for it, guys. Definitely pay for that book. So, guys, there you have it for the week. There is Pay It or Slay It, episode number 12, the no frills version. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Now in the comments below, tell me which books you would want to pay, and which books you would want to slay. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. Don't forget to check out comicfrontline.com. Don't forget to check out our live show each and every Tuesday night. Takes place around 9:30, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the news, the top 5, covers of the week, and our highly most anticipated books of the week as well. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to Comic Frontline. And fans, until that next comic book review, this is Mike Spider-Slayer signing off, and this has been episode number 12 of Pay It or Slay It. See you soon, guys. Take care. Bye.